Welcome back, everyone, to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, as always, LitecoinLeader. This is a special edition. It's not quite Divi Live at 5, but it's going to be airing at the same time because we know that people love to hear about Divi at that time. But this is a special edition of a Divi update. And we have, of course, we have the DiviDaddy. I could not do the show without him. Patrick, how you doing?
Hey, guys.
Hey, and we have a very special guest, one of the members of the project from as long as I can remember. And just for clarity's sake, both Patrick, obviously Patrick's involved in the project. I am also involved in the project. I own some Divi as well, but the voice has been around forever, and he's one of the best out there to know this blockchain frontwards and backwards. And he is probably the number one guy in support. I mean, other than him and the Neegs, those are the two guys you talk to for any technical questions. So TheVoice is a great, seems to always be online, just like a lot of us. So TheVoice, how you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you on. And I know a lot of people want to know what's going on with the project, but before we get into some of the medium to advanced stuff, let's start with the very beginning, because we could get there's been a lot of activity going on with Divi this week with the soccer game, and we'll be talking about that too. But can you tell, like TheVoice, can you tell us, how would someone get started to learn about the Divi project if they are just learning about the project, or what would you tell them and how would they get, up and rolling with the project?
With most projects, whether it's Divi or otherwise, I think obviously getting involved in the communities, right? It's you can read white papers, you can watch YouTube videos of founders, and you can do all those kinds of things. But to really get into the community itself, you can kind of get a pretty good idea of what the culture is. And the culture is generally reflective of the true personalities of the founders and those kinds of attributes that we look for when we want to get involved in a project. Obviously, a lot of people get involved for speculation, right? That's one of the reasons. And so you can kind of get the feel for what the project is centered on, the philosophy of the founders. And so I always suggest practicing safe joining of communities, right? That's something we may or may not talk about, but making sure you're secure. But going into communities and meeting people virtually or otherwise where you can ask questions. I mean, ask questions. Don't ever be afraid of asking questions. Sure, there's trolls and there's all sorts of people out there and they'll tease you for asking, but it doesn't matter. There are some good people out there, and there are good people in every community. I'm in Divi because I believe they accepted me with my questions early on. They were very friendly. And now, of course, I answer those questions. So yeah, I have been there for quite some time. But yeah, it's about getting to know the community through through the founders, through the community. Obviously, you can tell if something's just focused on pumping because everything they're asking about or everything they're doing and everything they're saying is just go ahead and go into some community and pump something. You want to go long term. That's my opinion, at least. Some people are short term, long term.
That's a great outlook, and I really appreciate that. I think that a lot of people forget, people always start somewhere. Like, we've been in this space for a while. I've been around for 6 years. So is Patrick, and you've been around. But everybody starts somewhere, and you have to start somehow. You have to ask questions. So it's a great question. But I think that one of the best things I've learned about the Divi project is the tagline "Crypto Made Easy," and what they do there, and because crypto is hard. It really is. That's why we all have jobs in this space, because it is so difficult, and people need the advice. But and we're going to get to one of the things that the Divi project has done and released this week with the new update of the wallet to make things even easier. But before we get into that, I want to go back to what you just hinted on about security and maintenance and everything you see over the support channel. For the listeners that are out there, what would they say the top 3 or 4 things that you get that people should know about as far as security and maintenance and keeping their Divi or even the rest of their crypto safe?
I think that probably the first thing that people need to understand is controlling their keys, right? Obviously, their keys when they get into crypto. A lot of people throw around the phrase, I think it was Antonopoulos that first coined it, but no keys, no coins kind of a situation. We're used to other people having control of our assets. Used to being able to call up a bank and say, hey, this charge was wrong. We're used to saying, I lost my debit card. I can call up my bank. We're used to being able to walk in and knocking, or not knocking, but walking up to the teller and saying, hey, I need help with something. That is not crypto. Crypto is something that's very special, something that Satoshi has given to us, and that is the power of, or the actual the actual sovereignty of our own assets. Sovereignty is a key thing. I think that Satoshi has really given us a glimpse of what we have control over. Most of us live autonomously, right? We live within the laws of society and we accept those laws. Some of those things change, right? They're flexible based upon who may or may not be in charge and whatever may or may not pass. Blockchain is something that we all agree to. Blockchain is something we all adopt. It has mathematical rules and mathematical guidelines, and these are kind of nerdy things. But I think from just a generic newbie's level, is you're in charge. You are the bank. You are in control of everything. And that's something that everybody needs to probably grasp the first go around. When you have your coins, and we're not talking about on Coinbase or some exchange, which is just like a bank, they have control of your assets. You are not sovereign in that respect. If something goes wrong, they're in control, right? When you have your own coins and you have your own keys, you are in essence control of your own assets. You can move them at will. You can give them at will. You can receive anytime you want. That's the basics that I would talk about. And then from that perspective, when we talk about sovereignty, we talk about, let's say a country may be sovereign. That country may have to defend its sovereignty. So as a user, having my own sovereign control of my assets, then I need to practice things that are going to protect my assets. And that means I have to change the way I think. I can't be flippant with things. There are certain things I don't want to share. Maybe I want to have a specific device that I manage my assets from, because on my other device, I'm playing video games, or my kids are over and I allow them to get on my Windows machine and they install Wild Tangent and it has a million pop-ups and they're installing all sorts of crazy things. That's not where you want to probably keep your crypto assets, right? You want to make sure you respect the tool that is managing your funds. And so I have a stewardship principle. I teach something similar that other people teach. I teach that if you're going to manage your crypto assets, let's say on your computer, you manage all of your finances on that same computer, because that's the computer you go to, let's say, to pay bills. It's also the computer you go to. Maybe you're going to do an exchange. It's the computer you go on that you have your assets stored, but that's all you use it for. You don't use it for playing games. You don't use it for editing your tax information or making, Photoshop and making images on it. You don't use it for that. You have another computer for that. So if that's a possibility for the user because they have the expendable funds, I always suggest it. If it's not, then you just have to change the way you respect your computer. It's no longer a toy. It's a tool, and you need to treat it like a tool. So these are things that I teach. I think those are probably most important. Security in Telegram or Discord or Twitter or Facebook or any of those kinds of places, Instagram, any kind of social media. I also come from the hard-nosed point of view that you never accept direct messages. I know some people do direct messages. I block all direct message requests. I don't accept any direct message requests. Direct messages almost always, in my opinion and experience dealing with two communities, Discord, Telegram, used to be Facebook, all the direct messages you get that are appearingly from experts are always somebody offering support in an effort to help relieve you of your funds as opposed to help you gain access. So I'm a very big proponent on closing your direct messages up.
Yeah, and if there's ever any questions on regarding security, and Patrick, I can let you weigh in on this in a moment, but I do have a couple of videos on my channel. If you just go to my channel, and Patrick and I just talked about this the other day, just type in the word security, and I get two videos. One that tells you how to use a dedicated crypto device, like a cell phone for storing your crypto, and also we had a roundtable on security as well with Patrick and myself and Papa Joe and Tim Brown of ProBitcoinSolutions. So I completely agree with everything TheVoice said, and if you ever have any questions of a Divi link or anything else, find out the support channel for that project and go ask there. Say, hey, did anybody get this email? Is it a scam? Before you click anything, just verify, because Absolutely. You are being your own bank. Be careful out there.
Be your own bank. Exactly.
Patrick, did you want to chime in on security? Because we always talk about that.
No, I mean, I think that, on this conversation, I probably won't say as much as I normally do, just because we got an OG in the house and a legend, and deals with it all day. But I do agree with what he's saying. A crypto-only device is a must if you're going to be investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in crypto, why not spend $100 on a brand new phone that's never been used, never been activated, and install what you need on there? So I find it to be like a very, very low barrier to entry. But yeah, in terms of security, like don't do it. You know, right now, people have no clue. I'll show you later, Jeff, but Bitcoin Ben texted me last night on Telegram and said, "Hey, Nate." And I was like, oh, okay. First of all, Ben doesn't say, "Hey, mate," right? Second of all, he's got my personal number. And then why would he be asking me to call him later? It's like, I'm playing with this guy knowing like this guy is a fraudulent guy. So I basically took a screenshot and sent it to Ben and was like, "Hey, just so you know, here's another guy," and you block them because they're out there and they are just waiting to pounce on you. Like they are just waiting for them to just see a target. Like as soon as you shine light on anything, it's just go time, just keep it secret, keep it safe.
Yeah. And I will say, to close that topic before we move on to more interesting Divi topics, if you think that you're getting a lot of DMs or you're getting a lot of crypto questions, just imagine it. We're in a bear market right now. We're in a down market. Just wait until Divi or other projects start heading up. They will come out of the woodwork that you wouldn't believe. So be very careful. Know what to do to verify before you click anything, because again, you're being your own bank. But speaking of, being your own bank and return on investment, let's talk about people that are invested into Divi and the project. Obviously, they want to see how they can get more rewards and more returns. So there's Masternodes and there's staking. So let's talk about that for a minute. So how could someone optimize their return on investment as a Divi owner? Was it staking? Is it Masternodes? Is there certain sizes of Masternodes that are best? And let's talk. I mean, we can get into UTXOs as well. So there's a lot to unpack here. But let's just start with Masternodes and staking. And then what's the recommendation?
Well, I have I guess a chair I stand on or something. One of the things that I first try to instruct or teach is that validator nodes is what we have. We have validator nodes and we have master nodes. And staking is something that validator nodes do. And validator nodes traditionally would have been voluntary transient people, right? So you have a computer, you have a Pi or something that you have sitting and it's running. And if you decide to turn it off, you go on vacation, it shuts down. It's not a big deal. Validator nodes were generally transient, and validator nodes have been around for a long time. Staking itself has been around a long time. And so there was two jobs to have: the master nodes, which are sort of the brains of the network, if you want to call them, the archivists of the network. When you power up your desktop app and you get those little green bars up, and this is true for any full node desktop application, whether it's a Litecoin or otherwise, you can see those little bars where it shows you how many connections. They're going to connect to some archival node. They're going to connect to some full node on the network so they can sync that data. Master nodes provide that service where, let's say on a Bitcoin or let's say on a Litecoin, that's some group or it's some individual who through the goodness of their heart has a full node they don't get paid for, that they're just the seed nodes attached to, and that's who you're syncing to. That's just the kindness of the community. In some cases with Bitcoin, it's usually some big person like a Coinbase or a Binance. They have full nodes that they anchor throughout the network, right? Master nodes and proof of stake are that. At minimum, they also can provide other functions, but let's just stay with what the master nodes are at this moment in time. So they are the cement that holds everything together when you sync the network. That used to be the case. So we're talking about validator nodes being voluntary, sometimes transient, miners of the network. That's what they do. They mine, or we would like to say in proof of stake, it's minting. So you validate, you verify the transactions, you notarize the transactions. That's something that most people find interesting when they first learn about what staking is. Staking, when it's true staking, not like Ethereum staking, not Ethereum, but ERC20 staking, which is kind of fake staking kind of stuff. We're talking about real mining, validating of the transactions. They notarize the transactions with the coins they're using in their validator node. That's the stake. And after they notarize them, then they submit They actually mint the coins. So you mint the Divi, just like a Bitcoin miner would make the Bitcoin that they're going to receive. And so the validator nodes make that Divi, and then they submit that to the blockchain, right? So they confirm that block, they can validate, they verify, they notarize, they mint the Divi, they send the transaction as confirmed to the network. And then of course, then everybody else again begins that confirmation. Masternodes would be those other ones that they store and keep that going. And then of course, the next validator in line validates the next block. Well, there's a problem. It used to be that you couldn't anchor to validator nodes. You could only anchor to masternodes, right? So if you opened up your application and you need the store of data, you need to make sure you have the current blocks or the last page in the ledger, if we want to say that, you'd have to sync to masternodes. We're going to segue a little bit and go into staking vaults. Staking vaults changes all of that. Staking vaults, which is an extension of the validator protocol. The staking vaults or validator vaults, that's what I like to call them. They are permanent. So when you have a validator vault, it's online usually, although an individual can use something like a Pi or a desktop to use it too. Validator nodes are just as permanent as master nodes. So when you close your machine down or shut your phone down, it's not going to have any effect on staking, where if you're a solo staker, right, solo validator node, if you shut your machine down, you're no longer doing work. And you have to do that every once in a while just for updates. But if you go shut it down for weeks or months, you're not working. It's kind of like not showing up for work. You don't get paid if you don't show up for work. You don't get the opportunity for work. So validator nodes need to stay online as much as possible to maximize their opportunity. And then staking vaults almost replace the need for masternodes. So there may be some technological changes in the future coming that maximizes the network as it's increasing in stability. And even the change in the crypto made easy philosophy may modify how we have vaults and masternodes in the near coming future. So, yep.
So that was a very great and technical definition, and I loved it. And I know Patrick loved it too, because he's a techie. And by the way, for those who don't know, TheVoice mentioned Pi. That is a Raspberry Pi. That's a little mini computer. Hey, that's what we do. We explain things to people that if they don't know. But I just want to focus now on the Divi owner, who owns the tokens. If they want, like, what is the recommendation as far as, should I run a masternode? Should I do staking? Should I do a combination of both? How do I stay current on like sometimes it's like masternodes are favored for better returns, and sometimes it's staking. So how do I stay on top of that? And what is the given recipe today? And how do I get updates on that in the future as to which ones I should switch to, or should I do both?
Well, some people just prefer masternodes. I mean, let's just talk about it. It's there's no question that that sometimes some people want to have a masternode to have a masternode. It's always going to benefit the network. It's always going to help stabilize everything. You're always doing some work, and it's helping everyone. And so if you want a diamond masternode, that's okay to have, because your goal is to have a diamond masternode. The returns are going to fluctuate, right? It's going to fluctuate based upon participation. So if you have a copper, silver, gold, platinum, or diamond, there's a certain amount of opportunity each one gets, and that opportunity increases by % at each level. And so what the overall returns will be dependent upon how many other people are participating. The way I like to describe it is it's like pizza, right? We had just had Bitcoin Pizza Day. In a single day, there are 2,880 pizzas. 2,880 pizzas. There's 1,440 for stakers. There's 1,440 for masternodes. You want to know how many slices you're going to get, or how many days it's going to be to get a slice. Just think about it like this. If there's a pizza on one side of the room and a pizza on the other side of the room, and there's 12 chairs around each pizza, and there's 12 slices on that pizza, it happens many times a day. You know, if you get a seat at that table, you're probably going to get one slice of pizza, right? So that's pretty easy. So as things have evolved, it used to be there was a slice of pizza every minute, 1,440 times a day on staking side, and there was 12 chairs, but there was 6 people sitting there. Well, what happens if there's an extra seat? Well, you get a piece, you get an extra piece, right? And so that's changed though with staking vaults. Staking vaults, because staking was transient, staking was a little bit more management. To run a validator node on a solo node meant you had to optimize your computer and keep it up and worry about Windows updates or updating your Mac or, whatever it was. And a lot of people said, that's too much work for me. I'm going to run a Masternode. Staking vaults, because it's so easy. In fact, in some cases, easier than a Masternode, setting it up and making sure it stays consistent online has changed everything. So now you have almost a balance on the network. So from a pure perspective of numbers, if the Diamond Masternode is the max that you would be, and then from a staking perspective, you're always operating at that max capacity based upon your coins available. They're almost evening out. So you're going to get more returns if you have less currently in staking than you would in a Masternode, meaning your returns will be more often, they will be smaller, but that's just today because those chairs on the staking side are filling up, and you're getting close to everybody sitting at all the chairs on the staking side, and that will balance out. So what will happen? Well, everybody that's in Masternodes, if they start switching to staking vaults, there's now 28 people on staking vault side or staking side, and there's only 12 chairs. That means there's half as much to go around. So then what happens is then everybody hears that Masternodes are better. And so not everybody, but enough people who are interested, then they switch to Masternodes. And so those people will balance out. It's a what is it called? It's a seesaw. So it will find its equilibrium. And so right now that balance of that seesaw was really heavy over the last couple of years in Masternodes, but now we're finding it's almost level. So which is better? It depends upon you. You may want a Masternode. It's kind of cool to have, a gold Masternode. It'd be nice to, everybody could have a gold Masternode. It's just saying it sounds fun. It sounds good, and you're doing good. Yeah. If I say validator node or staking vault, it doesn't have the same kind of sound or feel to it, but that doesn't mean that it's not doing awesome stuff, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't earn more. It does in some cases. At least in the current short term, it is earning better.
So I know the viewers, and that was a great answer. I appreciate everything. You're fantastic at explaining things. So that's why we love having you on. But before, I know the viewers are anxious to see the wallet. But before we get there, one last question before we start sharing that, which is that there's two interfaces now. There used to be that Divi was run by a PC or a Mac. It was on a desktop, but now there's a mobile wallet interface. Is there a difference in how you should configure? Or if you're a Divi owner, which is there a minimum or a maximum number that's efficient for a device? And is there a difference between mobile and desktop? Is there an optimum answer for that environment?
I don't think that there's an optimum answer. There isn't a minimum. There is a minimum just from the structural or the process on how the mobile wallet is set up. But you can stake with as little as you wanted practically based upon the decimal points. But we're talking about mathematical probability. And so most people understand in Bitcoin, if we oversimplify things and just say the more powerful your computer, the more probable it is that I'm going to be able to earn Bitcoin, right, for doing work. So everybody sees the pictures. That's something that DiviDaddy is really big on, mining machines and all these kinds of things. The more you have, the more likely it is that you're going to actually be able to earn Bitcoin. Divi is the same in that respect. Where it's different and where it makes it a lot easier for the user, it's all math. And in Bitcoin, it's all math. They're using processes and they're using energy for that math. In Divi, based upon the philosophy that was originally, or the writings that were originally talked about almost 10 years ago, proof of stake removes that mathematical little variable in there for the energy, and it replaces that, so it emulates the energy with the count of coins. So your coins are used as far as your multiplier. So if you have one Divi, it's probably not very likely that you're going to have a big enough hammer to crush the block. You're gonna have a little teeny weeny hammer, and you're not going to be able to mine much, just to use that sort of visual picture. But if you have 2,500 Divi, you're going to mine a block or mint a block about once per year. about once per year. So that's an average. So it could happen at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year. It's somewhere in there. You're going to compete about 525,000 times. And out of those 525,000 times, with the current numbers, you'll mine a block once. What's a better amount to have? Well, you can have any amount, but if you have at least 10,000 in a single transaction, you'll mine probably 4 to 6 times per year. And that means currently with the numbers, you'll earn 380 Divi for each time that happens. And so that the multiplier, as long as you keep increasing that multiplier, just like buying more Bitcoin machines, is going to earn more. The math is used or the math is computed based upon those coins. It emulates that entire process. It is mining, just using a different multiplier.
That's great to know.
That was nerd stuff. I don't get to talk like this most of the time. I'm sorry if your audience is learning this.
No, don't apologize.
Don't apologize.
I'm so happy right now. I love this kind of talk.
So this is going to air. Actually, we're recording this Friday afternoon. We're going to air it tonight in the live at 5 slot, because there is no live at 5 this week.
There's no live at 5, exactly.
So we want the Divi community is going to be one of the first to see this. So that's great, and they want to see information that they can't get anywhere else. That's what we're providing, which is fantastic. Yeah, well, hey, sometimes want to go down this rabbit hole, but let's go back. Let's lighten the mood again, and let's without further ado, let's allow the voice to share his screen and walk us through the new version of the wallet, and let's talk about how do you get the update, how do you get the wallet from scratch, and what new features he likes and wants to show off.
There we go. Let me just share my screen here. Share. Let me know when you can see it.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. And just so I roll back just a little bit, since we were talking about scammers, I think both of you follow my Twitter. I'm really big at scam baiting, right? So I'm really big at, and not just for Divi communities. I've done it for almost all the exchanges and everywhere else. And I'm in many other communities, Litecoin included, Pivx. I'm in those communities, maybe not active, but I have Brenda. Brenda is going to leave us after this show. Brenda is a personality that I use that is actually shut down. If I'm going to use just a rough number off the top of my head, probably 20 different websites that are used for scamming, where they convince people to put in their private keys. And so that same message where, how are you doing today, mate? Brenda actually responds to those people until the point to where they start giving enough information about the website to log into, where to put the information. And then Brenda, through me, contacts all the different organizations, whether it be ICANN or the hosting provider. So today, since we're doxing her right now. So now the world knows that the voice is Brenda. Brenda will leave us today. But just know that Brenda has done a lot of good work. So Brenda is... Brenda's awesome. She's a star. So Brenda is going to walk us through setting this up. I'm running this on my computer. It'll be identical to your Android phone or your iOS device. So some of the things that are new, if you haven't installed the Divi wallet before, this will all be new. But in the Divi wallet, for a long time, the development of the wallet or the use of the wallet only showed a few different icons and applications across the top. Well, with this latest release, this latest iteration, all those icons that were grayed out and inactive, maybe even with a different description, are now brightly blue. And that means we can use them. Probably the biggest thing that we have in Divi is the philosophy of crypto made easy, right? So we land on Satoshi's philosophy of sovereignty. That's the cement that we land upon. You're in control of your own assets. You're in control of your own keys. And the development of this wallet is probably the hardest thing I've ever seen any team undertake, which is allowing you to bridge different technologies while still maintaining your own self-sovereignty and your own ownership of your own assets. Where a lot of these wallets out there kind of marry the two technologies. We are strictly, I say we, I feel like I built the wallet. They have built it so they're hands off of KYC, they're hands off of knowledge of certain things in the wallet that a normal organization that would be custodial would have to have. And so this is a bear of a project, the mountain of work. Anyway, I will stop selling the blood, sweat, and tears that went into this. It's not done. That's what I will tell you first and foremost. But some of the things you can do are convert assets. Some of the things you can do are buying. So you can buy without having to go to one exchange, sending it to another exchange, hooking up your bank account at one of those exchanges and swapping. And that currently is actually all in one source now with the Divi wallet, and that's through the buy option.
So to make it clear for everybody that's listening, that means that there's a fiat on and off ramp for this wallet now.
That is correct. Complete fiat on and off ramp. And again, the KYC, which is something you guys have seen me tweet about. You know, I talk about it quite a bit. You want to minimize your KYC footprint. You don't want to put your social into everybody's website. You don't want to put your personal information all over the world for something to get hacked. You want to limit the amount of times you do this. And so when you have to hook up your account at multiple websites and KYC at multiple websites, you're just spreading you everywhere. And it's just a matter of time before something happens. So with Divi, we wanted to make sure we were hands off of your KYC. So this will allow you to not have to OTC. It will allow you to not have to have multiple exchanges that you're having to put in all your information. It will allow you to do it all in one spot. And I don't know anything. There's not a support person who knows your personal information. This is a pass through and it's stored with them. We don't have any access to that. And so, yeah, you'll be able to buy right through the wallet. So I'll give you just a little bit of an idea. You have to do the KYC here when you sign in. And if we start the KYC process, we won't go through everything. But one thing that's a hurdle that I've noticed, let's see, I doxed Brenda's phone number. You can leave that there because that phone number is dying. But anyway, so the thing about the KYC here is that it is a standard KYC process. That's something that I've had some support questions about. You need to make sure that your information matches probably something that is on an ID that you use from wherever you are in the world, right? I mean, that's what it's going to do. If you try to obfuscate or hide things in here, like my Proton Mail email, if Proton Mail is an obfuscated email, right? We know that. When you're dealing with your bank, you're generally not using your Proton Mail, you're using your personal mail. When they do KYC, whether it's at Coinbase or any of the other places, or whether it's this Divi wallet, you want to use those assets you'd normally use. If you went into the bank and you would say, this is who I am, and they would be able to validate that. That's so you can hook up your bank account. So once this is done, you will have options in here, which I can't show you necessarily on Brenda's app, but maybe I'll pull up another one in a second. You will be able to use features such as ACH, right? You'll be able to use features such as wire transfer, and you'll be able to use features such as credit cards in the app itself, where you'd normally have to go through many services and then move things around. This will allow you to buy Divi. It will allow you to buy Bitcoin. It will allow you to buy Ethereum directly through that feature and function. So right now my buy is walking me through KYC. Once that's done, it would give me options to buy through one of those three options, and I would be able to buy one of the different currencies there. Now, once I've got those currencies, maybe I change my mind later and I want some other currency. Maybe I have Bitcoin now, but I would like to buy another currency. Well, that's where the convert function comes in. There's no need right out the gate for any sort of KYC. In fact, you don't even need to do buy. You can already have Bitcoin. You could already send it to the Divi wallet, and you could use the convert feature. And the convert feature is right there in the wallet too. So you'll be able to convert from one cryptocurrency directly in the wallet to another. And not to be totally nerdy, but you can also do it from an external wallet. So you could actually construct a transaction from another wallet you have, still get the link to where the email would, or the address would be, and then send it back into your internal wallet in Divi. So there's really four options here. You can, not to overly complicate it, but you can actually construct a transaction from an external wallet to an external wallet. That means from another wallet, not even Divi wallet, to another wallet, not even Divi wallet. You can construct a transaction from an external wallet to Divi wallet. And then of course you can flip that, and then you can do internal and internal. Most people are just going to do an internal, that means Divi wallet to Divi wallet transaction. Anyway, so if I get started here, and I say I want, let's just say I want Litecoin, right? So we'll just say that. We'll say,
You have to pick Divi, right?
yeah, I'm going to use, I already have Divi. So I'm going to use Divi to buy Litecoin. Is that all right?
Is this
I don't
converted?
mind. Is it? Well,
You would
no.
send Divi
Oh
to
yeah, sorry.
Bitcoin, yeah.
Sorry, I see DiviDaddy's good. I'm actually clicking on a screen and looking at another one. All right, so let's just click here.
You're all good. You're all good.
Let's just say
1 billion Divi.
Yeah, 1 billion Divi. That's the super block, right? That's lottery. And pretty simple. Look at how fast that was. And then I scroll down.
Look at those fees. Those are enormous.
Exactly. No, that's something super important to talk about, because it's one area in this bottom area here. They're going to clarify. When you go to an ERC20 or an Ethereum token, it's not totally clear. It is all in there with the fees. You'll see it when it recalculates. But as we all know from dealing with whatever cryptocurrency you have, if it's on the Ethereum blockchain, there are so many gas fees, and that goes up and down. It'll eat your funds no matter where you are. When you're doing something like Divi to Litecoin, it's practically free, right? I mean, they're both pretty inexpensive. So we'll go preview conversion and
just do it.
Convert. And this will tell me it'll take usually 15, 20 minutes, or I guess it says 2 to 15 minutes. The transaction is now occurring, and how this transaction occurs is it goes, let's say, to KuCoin. KuCoin is a big exchange, and it locates the Litecoin for me, and it transacts with the Divi and swaps those both out. And look, there it goes. I just got a notification at the top. And I'll close this for a second, and then we'll be able to see if we go down to Litecoin here, it shows me the transaction is pending. So as soon as this is done, it's going to be perfect. It just takes a couple of minutes, and it handles everything for you.
Yeah, and most of the time there is probably just settling on the network, right? Because
that's all it's doing. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. It's all I can tell it. People don't realize and appreciate how much work is behind the scenes of making all this happen. So this is really fantastic that this came out, and I know a lot of testing was involved, and I know there was some beta testing going on. But so let me ask this other question: like, how does, like, if I've got the old version, I have not updated yet, how would I go about updating it, and what version, just so we are all secure, we know what the version numbers are, so we get the right version? How do we know that we're updating and upgrading to the right thing, or just getting the right version of the wallet if it's a brand new install?
Yeah, well, it depends upon the App Store right now. They are going to be synchronized. When you see the apps in the App Store, there are smaller versions in between, but when you look at the App Store, they show you just one big number, right? So you don't see it's 113, but then there's a smaller number that says version. And that kind of confuses people. Right now, if you go to almost any app store, whether it's Apple or Android, it's going to be 113, although very soon it's going to be 115. What I suggest everybody does is just a good stewardship principle. The first thing you want to do is, when you get into your wallet, you want to go ahead and take a look at it. I'm not going to click it here, but if you go into your profile icon and you go into settings here, you want to click on backup phrase. I always suggest, no matter what, I don't care whose app it is, if you're updating and you haven't just confirmed you have the asset or the private keys, just take a look at those. Make sure you have them. I know a lot of people skip this process, and a lot of people cry afterwards when something happens. Your seeds are everything. Your app isn't holding the coins. It's just being able to manage the coins. The coins are on chain, and what gives you that ability to manage them is these seed words. And so make sure you check your seed words first before you back up. It's a big update. Some devices may have memory limitations, right? There's all different kinds of Android phones. There's different versions of Apple phones. iPhone 6 Plus is about the minimum right now. And they each have different RAM. They each have different hardware specifications. So if any of those things change, or let's say your app is old, let's say your device is old and it won't run, maybe it's time to update, but maybe it's just slower than most. When you do a big update on any application, always make sure you do a backup beforehand. That's just good stewardship principle. In this
It
case, just back up your seeds. Then what I would do is I would probably uninstall the app. That's just my thought. I would go clean. This is a huge update. I know people have had lots of success just doing this standard update. What I found, the reason why I'm sharing this is, for some reason, maybe not so much in Apple, but for some reason, some people in the Android store, the Google Play Store, if you have the old version, it's not showing the update as consistently. And that's a Google Play problem. It's not necessarily a Divi Wallet problem. But if you back up your seeds, uninstall the app, whether you go to Apple or Android, if you search for Divi Wallet, it will show you the latest app every single time.
And then when you're doing a clean install, you're just repopulating those 12 seed words, correct?
So when it pops up, it's actually going to show you, do you want to create a new wallet or restore a wallet? And this would be a good second tip. You would of course use your seeds that you had, the 12 words you would have during the restore wallet. You already have one, so you would restore your wallet. I suggest tapping the words. So let's say one of your words is potato. As you start typing potato in your keyboard there, it'll pop up in that little periwinkle color. And when it pops up, just tap the letter. I've known some people who put, a little extra tap in there and kind of messes up the seed words. Use the helps that are in place. So potato is your first word. Ice cream is your second word. I don't even think that's a word, but anyway, I'm hungry, obviously. So you got ice cream in there. You tap ice cream. It will auto-fill and then forward you to the next word. I suggest doing it that way. I've never had a problem doing it that way, but typing in with happy fingers and sometimes a space in there, it kind of messes things up. Yeah.
So I have several more questions, and I want to be respectful of your time. I think you probably have a hard stop at the top of the hour, and I know you're hungry for lunch. But is there any other features you wanted to show off before we go out of this wallet and start talking about the roadmap for Divi?
So Earn is probably one. We could go ahead and deploy a staking vault if we want. Let's just go ahead and do one. So we'll do a staking vault. So this is where you're going to run a node in the cloud. I won't go into the technical details of it, but it's essentially you working virtually somewhere else in the world. It could be, I don't know, France for all that matters. But you're going to actually run a node. The validator node is going to be working for you in the cloud. It will be mining the transactions for you. You don't have to leave your app running. So this is where we're talking about how it used to be transient for validator solo nodes, where Masternodes help stabilize the network. Here you'll be doing the same thing, stabilizing the network and mining the transactions with the staking vault process. And a little side note, this is coming to desktop too. There's lots of things coming to desktop that actually will be eventually making its way into. A lot of people make the joke about Litecoin always adopts things before Bitcoin does. So all these really cool things that happens. Well, in our world, since it's a Divi world, the desktop will be doing some things that will be adopted into the mobile wallet. But the mobile wallet will also shortly be bringing things into the desktop. So we'll have this sort of mirroring of the communities. And then eventually there will be a light desktop. So just like this is a light application on the desktop. So anyway.
Hey, look at that. So I do want to talk about the roadmap next, but before we leave that, I want to provide one other security tip because I think it's important. If you are going to uninstall a wallet and then reinstall it, if you have funds in those wallets, set up a second wallet, move the funds there, then uninstall that wallet and reinstall it. That way you're not having any funds at risk. It's also a good practice in general like devices, hardware does fail. It does fail, and you have to restore wallets from time to time. So it is a good practice to just get used to reinstalling a wallet using seed words. So that's just two little tips right there. But you touched on a few things about the roadmap I wanted to get to. And I in the interest of time, let's combine a few questions. There was a big launch this week down with Barcelona and La Liga playing in Sydney. It was a big event. Big PR. There's what do you see as far as the next 12 months for Divi and like the PR and the partnership with La Liga and also the things coming on the roadmap? What is your perspective? What's to come for Divi, both in those two veins of both the partnership with La Liga and other elements in the roadmap that you want to highlight?
Well, if we look at the roadmap, we're talking about two different things. We're talking about technological changes. There's marketing things on the roadmap. Look, see, I'm connected on my computer. That was probably the problem here. My apologies for that. So on the mobile, it generally won't do that, but I'm going through the Zoom call and everything else.
Yeah.
This was a Microsoft fail right here. Do you see that?
We can drop out of this because
Microsoft
Yeah,
fail.
no, I was like, I've never seen that screen before.
No, exactly. This screen is taking too long. Yeah, because I'm on my computer doing it.
Yeah.
So with La Liga, yeah, it's normally a second, right? I mean, you swipe in and
I was
it's
like,
done.
what if I was just listening to Jeff talk and all of a sudden I couldn't hear him anymore? I was like, what's going on?
I'm tempted to do it again, you know. But
Go ahead, do it again.
Yeah, I'll do it again. Just to see. Hey, Octo, look at this. Look what's happening over here. We'll go ahead. We'll go add funds. We'll say 250 this time. It's probably going to fail because it's going through the computer. Oh, we'll do 2,500. All right, continue. Fund vault. Yeah, I'm using a mouse. You see, normally it's a finger swipe. It's a finger swipe. Anyway. Oh no! Look, see, that's how it was. It was my connection, so that's what it was. It's going through here. Look at that. That was a win. I'm not Bill Gates. My USB did work this time. There we go. All right. So, La Liga is something that's part of Divi everywhere, right? Divi's got a philosophy. That's what makes it different. Divi's based upon the Satoshi philosophy of sovereignty, but it has another philosophy built on top of sovereignty, which is ease of use without sacrificing philosophy. But there's a goal also added into that, and that is called Divi Everywhere. Divi Everywhere is the understanding that whomever you are, wherever you are, you should at least have the ability to use the assets that we're building. So there's some things you have to work around that. That's another reason why some of the development is so complicated. By the outreach that's happening and the partnership that's happening with La Liga, Middle East, North African region, that is the awareness portion of the campaign, where the assets are being built, and that outreach will begin with that awareness. And those individuals will also have the ability, a much bigger community, to start using the tools that we're developing. And that's what it really comes down to. No matter where we are, La Liga is just the beginning, right? La Liga is a huge thing for us, from that outreach perspective of Divi Everywhere, in that marketing perspective. And it's just beginning. I mean, literally, we rolled into the season a little late last year, and now we're really getting into the thick of things with the events that happened with Australia and the big launch there. You see the banners across the stadium, the huge banner that was in the stadium that was there. It's all digital now, where you've got the Divi wallet. Really, what it comes down to with crypto is word of mouth, right? That's how we learn about different currencies. That's how we learned about blockchain. It's all about us sharing information. But from the outreach perspective, you need to have some visuals, some brand building that helps people understand, well, maybe they see that today, and maybe they see this Divi wallet, and maybe they see crypto, and it's all about later on. Maybe it's a month from now, maybe it's 6 months from now, maybe it's an hour. Somebody says, hey, have you heard about this or that? And it's cryptocurrency. And then, because that water dropping, that visual, that's the marketing portion. Obviously, I'm not a sales guy, but that will be seen as something. Well, when I go to the App Store, what am I going to pick up? I'm looking for Divi Wallet. Right. Yeah. If I go to the Google Play Store, what am I going to pick up? I'm going to pick up the Divi wallet. And the goal is for us to make it as easy as possible to participate in the open blockchain, and then as easy as possible to build assets for businesses to build upon, and those kinds of things. It's a huge thing. La Liga is going to help us quite a bit.
Yeah, there are definitely like two things on the roadmap I'm really happy to that are coming that we know for sure. They're working, one big one, right, is the subscriptions, so that we're able to have Divi pay the subscriptions for the Masternode or the staking vaults. So that's going to be pretty cool coming up here, because the idea of having the Divi funds come right out of your wallet is really goes against the grain of like being able to hold your own crypto, right? Like you can't just be debited some crypto out of your wallet. So this whole process is going to revolutionize and basically kick out more of the banking system, right? PayPal's gone after that. So that's one huge update that I'm excited about.
I think that the Divi subscriptions is so much bigger than just paying your Masternode. I mean, obviously that is something that we have to do. but subscriptions have really never been able to be done, or nobody's actually, it's been talked about, but nobody's ever done it yet. But the ability to create an account to where, and I'll generalize quite a bit, to create an account to where, let's say I and DiviDaddy have a relationship to where he's going to do something for me. He's going to build me a couple of miners, and or I'm going to build him a couple of miners. And so what I can do is I can set up, construct a blockchain, not a smart contract transaction, but a blockchain trustless contract between the two of us. I don't have to worry about somebody having keys. I don't have to worry about some developer somewhere else having access to stop a contract. This is not Ethereum. This is on chain. And I know this is technical nerdy stuff, but it's really important. This is between DiviDaddy and myself, just like the way Satoshi would have wanted it. I can say over the next X amount of time, DiviDaddy can draw payments per the subscription out of these accounts, and I can fund that account and he can draw the payments out of it. I don't have to construct transactions. I don't have to remind myself. I don't have to put a note that says, oh, I have to pay DiviDaddy, tomorrow X amount. I can just do it right on the blockchain transaction, and it'll be right on the blockchain. It's pretty awesome. So you want a magazine subscription, it can be done with Divi subscriptions. If you have if you have a website and you have a monthly payment you have to do to have membership on, like Patreon has a monthly payment on it, or a monthly amount that you send to whatever the artist is that you're watching. You have a monthly subscription on that. You can just do subscriptions right on chain. That's pretty freaking amazing.
Now, we could probably talk for hours. I'm certain of it. I'm sure we'll have you back on again. But I think in the interest of time, I wanted to go ahead, and that's like the roadmap includes, there's a Divi card coming, there's credit cards coming, there's support for LLCs, and it's supporting multiple countries, and you can see how global Divi's becoming. The Liga, for those who don't know about La Liga, it is one of the largest sports leagues on the planet. Like soccer is like 3.8 billion people. It's over half the planet watch soccer. We have the World Cup later this year, or football. Yes, thank you. Football, so between the English Premier League and the La Liga, these are the top two leagues in the world. So the sponsorship of the Liga, which goes to every team on that platform, and many different cryptos are working in the field of football right now as well. But it's going to be massive for Divi, and making it as easy as possible for people to be onboarded to not just Divi, but also crypto as well, with Crypto Made Easy. I think it's fantastic. But again, in the interest of time and wrapping it a nice, tidy episode up for this time, TheVoice, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate that. Is there anything else that you want the viewer to know right now about Divi today or in the coming month or two that you'd like them to be aware that we didn't discuss yet?
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting the Divi wallet today, as with anything else, you're going to see a lot of bells and whistles, and the wallet is not finished. It's not finished. So as you see it today, the philosophy of Divi's development is not technically what they would call, let's say if you buy a car, you see it in the brochure, that car is that car for that year. They may change a car, they may offer a new car. It's set. There's no modifications going to happen unless, of course, something gets recalled, right? I mean, those kinds of things. With Divi, Divi's development is iterative. And so just as you saw from the first wallet early on only was able to store cryptocurrencies, right? It was Divi, it was Litecoin, it was Ethereum, and it was Bitcoin. Very, very shortly afterwards, the next iteration, it still had Divi, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum, but then you could deploy Masternodes. And then that wallet was released. The next wallet that was released had Divi, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Masternodes. And then you had staking vaults, the first iteration of staking vaults. So as you see this application now, and as you look at the roadmap, there are even things, little things not even on the roadmap that would fall under the broader perspective of Crypto Made Easy or everywhere that are going to start dropping themselves into the financial. We're in the financial phase, the in-wallet financial phase in Divi Wallet. So things that you see in the wallet will change even from month to month, week to week, even from release to release, they will just be made better until we reach stage 4, and then it'll be solid. And then we build, as you see the roadmap, there's the on the horizon things that they're doing. That will be in stage 4. And then there's a stage 5. So this is an always ever changing, ever improving, always growing development process, whether it's the desktop or whether it's the mobile wallet. So don't think it's set in stone. It will always be getting better.
The Voice, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate that. And we all want to stay updated and keep current with Divi. So how do we best follow you and get in touch with you and get general support? What's the best ways to keep up to date?
Well, if you have technical questions about the mobile wallet, and let's say there's certain things that I won't know, like KYC information, but let's just say you had information in your mobile wallet and you had a question about your staking vault, you had a question about your Masternode. The best method is just to go to support.diviproject.org. That's the website, and you can put in a ticket there. It keeps you secure. When you get into Telegram, Discord, Facebook, you don't want to be putting any information in there that is going to give me any details. Keep it locked, keep it safe, keep it secure. That website that they use is a generic, it's not generic. It's a very well-known service. It's called Zendesk, and it's HIPAA. It's all locked. It's fantastic. So I suggest that. If you have general questions, just general questions, I encourage you. I live in both Discord and Telegram. I encourage you to visit the support channel of Divi in those. You can tag me. My old podcast tag is my name, which is No Crypto Show. So you just look at No Crypto Show. It's the same on Twitter. I don't generally do support on Twitter. Twitter is my activist channel where I help take down criminals. So if you send me a question there, I may not see it right away, but I get it almost immediately in one of those sources, whether Telegram or Discord. Right.
Well, as you just heard my phone go off, it's the top of the hour, so I want to be respectful of the Voice's time. This has been a fantastic episode. I hope everybody enjoyed this, and please leave comments down below, like, subscribe, share this, get people to understand what the Divi product is all about, and share with people that you know that are in Divi and that aren't in Divi, because it's a fantastic mobile app. And the Voice, I really appreciate your time. DiviDaddy, I appreciate you stopping by as well. This has been a fantastic episode. Thank you once again, the Voice.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And with all that said, I'm going to close the door on the bureau, say follow the leader one more time, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.